they have to put something in there so that that facility isn't closed by 2019. We have an agreement with General Motors. We signed a 4-year agreement in September of 2016 that said there would be no closures of any of our facilities during the life of the agreement. Last time I checked, 4 years takes us to September 2020. We are not walking away from this. We met with General Motors today. They told us that Oshawa is one of the best plants they have globally, the most productive, one of the highest quality plants, sophisticated workforce, can turn around product on a dime. And then they say they don't have anything for us by the end of 2019. No chance. General Motors has made $6 billion of profit in the first 9 months of this year. $6 billion. It's a 17 million car market in North America. The times are booming. They can find a solution. If not, there's going to be a lot to say from now till December of next year.
Now, the company says this is all about switching the focus to electric vehicles. What do you think it's going to take to put electric vehicle production in that Oshawa facility? Does it mean that the federal government, the provincial governments need to step up and provide some sort of funding?
Well, the federal and provincial governments have already said they'll participate in any way that GM wants. But they seem somewhat disingenuous with rolling that out today. Why? Because one of the plants that they're closing in the United States makes the Chevy Volt, their electric car. So I don't know how they're saying they're going to cut all of these plants. They're changing strategies. They want to invest more in electric cars and AV vehicles. And then they close the only plant they have that builds it. So there's something else going on. To me, it's about downsizing. Their stock prices went up 5% today. Shareholders are happy. The corporate boardroom is happy. 2,500 people in Oshawa are furious.
Do you think there's any political will, either at the federal government level or at the provincial level, to put more taxpayer money into wooing GM or any other auto? Considering what we went through 10 years ago, we thought, okay, we saved your company, or we helped save your company, and now we get this treatment.
Look, GM should be treating Canadians better. There's no question about it. But you don't throw, you don't throw out a good business plan either. The governments get $4.7 billion a year in tax revenue from the Detroit Three and their employees. So the numbers make it an easy decision for governments to make. So I wouldn't go that far, but GM should be thinking about being a lot more respectful to Canadians. Canadians buy over 300,000 GM vehicles a year. We build over 300,000 GM vehicles a year. GM says, look, we like to build where we sell. That's not the truth as it relates to Mexico, because Mexico buys very few GM vehicles and is on the cusp of building over 900,000 a year. That's completely ridiculous.
Now, if this is all about electric vehicles like they said it was, does the Ontario government need to change its tune about electric vehicles? We know that the government canceled that rebate for EVs. Do they need to sort of dangle some carrots for GM here?
Well, I think depending on the right business plan, people are going to participate. The Ontario government understands the importance of the auto industry. They know that it's an $80 billion a year export industry. It's number one in Ontario. It's number one in the country. Nobody's going to walk away from the number one industry unless they just don't understand economics.
Now, those 2,500 union workers in Oshawa, it's not a lot of runway for a year to be told about this in December of 2018, December 2019, no more allocation. Is there a way that these people can be trained and get ready for the future of EV cars? Are the EV cars that different from the kind of work they're doing?
No, it's just a technology that goes in the cars. Mm-hmm. It really is about the electronics that are assembled onto the cars. So it has nothing to do with skill sets. Trust me, we can build anything. The bottom line is GM knows that they can pay their employees in Mexico $2 an hour. They moved our Chevy Terrain from Ingersoll to Mexico. Why? Money. They've moved our Silverado truck. They moved our Sierra truck. They've moved our Camaro to the United States. They've moved our products to Mexico and one to the U.S. Why? Because they thought it was better for their bottom line. Doesn't make any sense. Now,
when we're done, you're going to get on a plane, you're going to go to Ottawa, you're going to meet with the Prime Minister.
Correct.
What do you want to hear from Justin Trudeau other than we're listening?
Well, listen, the times of politicians that say they're here for the people, but the people that they're there for are the corporate people, that's not going to fly. I listened to the messages today from the Premier. I listened to the messages from Prime Minister. When people are in trouble, they want leadership. They want their politicians to stand up and say, listen, we're supporting you, and we'll do everything we can to make sure you preserve your job. People don't want another 5 weeks of EI. They want their good-paying manufacturing jobs.
Are you concerned that Oshawa is just the first step, and not only for GM, but for some of the other automakers as they look to change their businesses and change their business models, that there could be further pain for the auto sector in Ontario and Canada?
Well, I'm hoping not, obviously. I mean, that was the whole discussion and exercise with the renegotiation of NAFTA. It's not going to come in as a release for the auto industry quick enough for me. But look, GM made $6 billion in 9 months. You trying to tell me they don't have the capital to make a different decision in Oshawa? Of course they do. But it's about more. It's about exploiting their employees in Mexico and flooding the market. There's two ways this thing gets resolved. Number one, Canada and the United States have to say they've had enough, and they're going to start to slap expensive tariffs on on Mexican imported vehicles. And two, I'm meeting with the head of the UAW next Wednesday. If I had my way, we'd shut down every General Motors manufacturing plant in Canada and the United States until they got the message. That's how I would deal with it.
All right. Obviously, I saw you address the workers in Oshawa today. You say this isn't the end of the fight. What are you planning?
We will do whatever is necessary to have General Motors change the decision. General Motors committed to us in September of 2016 that there will not be a plant closure during the life of this agreement, and we fully intend on keeping and making sure they keep their word.